You all freaking really have school, right?
Bad bitches, come and feel that!
Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to draw a furry in my style slightly and with less experience, so you guys can start on my level faster than how I started. So what you're going to do is draw what is called an action line, which I studied from other previous videos. I don't watch a lot of art videos, but this is what I found helpful slightly. And what you're going to do is draw a circle, and the circle would be the head for the furry, whatever character you're trying to draw. And technically you're supposed to draw a cross on that circle, meaning the direction where the face is pointing and the dimension. And then what you're going to draw is the body, which would be a big circle. Then you're going to draw technically the hips slightly, and mine was kind of an egg, but it would work for the hips. And here again, this is my style, that you can still do your own twist to it. This is probably going to be a digi style furry, if I remember it being called that. Then we're going to draw just two circles as the arms, which would end up building the shoulder to the furry. And then the two circles would be kind of the joints to the leg, where technically your butt would be. And then you have the legs, which would be sticks. I had to resize mine because it was coming out of the canvas. And then you're going to have the joint that goes to technically the ball of your foot. And then that little other stick there would be the edge of your paw. And then those two big circles I drew there are technically the thighs of the style type I'm drawing here of the furry, which you see at the end here. And I'm making his foot go up, so basically angles, something you had to envision in your head. Then I made this translucent so I can draw over this in another layer. It's helpful for you to visualize what you're drawing. And here again, I'm not a professional at this. This is still practice. I've only been doing this for 2 years.
Noise pollution or noise disturbance.
And then what you're going to do is draw two lines, which would end up being the arms. And then this would be the other arm, and since this is a direction I'm having it in, it will be a shorter arm than the other, depending on the angle you have the arm. And then this would be the furry's hand. It's just a box. Usually it's just a good box, or a cube, a flat cube, whatever. Oh, and I almost forgot to say, I'm doing this all in Adobe Draw, which is both on Android tablets and smartphones. Adobe Sketch is not available for tablets. It's only for phones, I see. So I'm doing this on a basic tool. Then I drew another box for the hands. And since I'm drawing a thick paw, technically I'm making the joints less on this hand. And right there I made a mistake because the thumb goes on the inner part of the body. And at the end of the video I'll show you where I changed it. Now I'm starting with the outline. You see how I draw the thigh kind of, and you kind of have to draw outside of the line so you can actually have a visual idea of the furry. I don't know what you call it. The small ball would be the joint of the paw, and I don't know how to draw paws well still, so I kind of just drew a half circle at the top, which would be in the bit here. But I just drew the thigh of the furry. I'm going to pause it here for another helpful tip. How I started drawing, which was for a good year, I usually traced furries, visually traced, which would help you get the outlines and angles that you would use if you were to make something yourself, and it helps you visualize how perspectives work. I'm not fully telling you to trace, but you can trace for practice if you want to know how the furry's nose was positioned on the face, and etc. I'd also suggest, if you're going to trace over stuff visually, which is called reffing, I suggest that you do it traditionally, which is on paper and pencil. And when you do it, don't call it your own art unless you have your own little twist to it. Then I kind of drew the stomach to the arms. Then I slightly just drew a little fluff to the neck, which would you usually have a furry. Then the arm. Then a little on the elbow, a little floof again, since it's a furry with no shirt on, I guess. Then I drew in the middle, where you see the thinness of the lines. It usually would be the joint of the arm. Then here I'm trying to draw the foot, which is facing the front. That's why it's kind of skinny. Then I drew the edge of the thigh to the body. Elbow again with floof. And here would be more neck fluff, which would be hiding the shoulder. And here's what I'm talking about, which would be the ball of the foot, or the paw, whatever you want to call it. Usually you'll start off with a part circle and then you'll draw lines through it. And the reason why it's so easy for me to do it right now, it's because I'm using a thick style brush program, which would make everything abstract and easy to understand what you're doing. If you're sketching it, there will be a lot of erasing, and I would rather do it traditionally instead of doing it digitally. It'll have a little more the angle of the paw where it's directing, which would be the side. That's why it looks like that. And the paw style I'm drawing is 3 paw. I don't know what you call the fingers of the paw, whatever, toes. And what I was talking about before, I make the cross here, showing you the direction of where the face is going to go, which is the front. What you're going to do is draw the muzzle, which would be a line, kind of, and then the neck, wait, not the neck, the chin would be another small line. This is just an outline to give me an idea where the ears are going to go, which are over there in the corners. I don't usually do that, but I did it for this video to show you where the head is going to go if it was frontward. And since this is an otter, I drew ears this style, which there's many different styles of ears. And I drew the head on another layer, I believe, so it doesn't conflict with my body. Then I drew the face fluff, which I usually don't draw a lot of furries without fluff on the face. because it makes it look more furryistic. Oh, here is where you draw the front of the face, which I believe is called a muzzle. I don't know. The nose. The nose would obviously be in the middle. Then I drew the top of the lip to the mouth. Then more neck, or no, not neck fluff, cheek fluff. And sometimes I struggle on repeating the same style of ears or eyes. So that's why I usually draw one eye, or I duplicate the same ear and flop it on the other side, which would make it look even. And I'm not good with eyes, so I'm not going to teach you anything there. As you can see there, I made a new layer and traced over it, and I flipped it and measuring the exact height where the other ear was so it can look even. And the hair, you can draw any style you want, but it has to look decent. You just don't add spikes. There has to be a certain type of flow you draw the hair if you like stylish type of hair, which I do a lot. There's certain types of angles and bends you have to do it. This is where I draw my crappy type of style eye, which makes no sense, but I like it. Then you have the chin here, which is going up to the side of the face. And here is where I kind of drew the cheek, which has to be in the upper angle if you want to make it look more kind of realistic where the angle is directing. I don't know. Then you have the chest floof because to make it a bit cuter. And here I made another layer so I can try to add more detail to the construction of where the hand is going to go to this box, cube, whatever you want to call it. And then here's where you have the top of the paw, or at least the side. Paws are still difficult to draw, but you kind of have to imagine it being blocky, and then you have to add the bends to it to make it look kind of realistic. Then you had to add the thumb at the corner there. and I had to erase, practically technically duplicating the hand so I can re-angle it. Now, I had to draw where the tail would be, which would be from the hip all the way sticking out. You can't just draw this randomly, then it'll look like it'll be coming out of your back or your thighs, which it's kind of where your spine would be, which would technically be your action line. This is where the action line is helpful sometimes. And I didn't draw the tail perfectly because my phone was clammy, and yeah, I draw this on my phone. It's kind of hard doing it off the computer, so I have no skill in that area. Then you add a little fluff over here just to make the body have more detail, so it's not just a flat looking body. And then I kind of added the chest here just to make it have a good angle perspective, since it's a very abstract art piece. It's not abstract, but it's using a thick brush. And here's where I kind of re-edit the paw, fixing the details. And I kind of made it where it's a bit small, but it still fits. Then I had to redo the hand, but I had to change the size of it. That's where the thumb would be. You can add your little claws for details. And that was all it. This was the picture of how it looked like when it was finished, and this was the picture of when I corrected the hand mistake. But here again, I'm not a master artist. This is basically to help beginners such as me of how I got better, to improve other young artists who want to draw more. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this long video that I took 3 hours to make, and we'll see you in the next one.